All right, guys, I am mic'd up again, and it is hot as shit in this garage right now. I'm already sweating. I'm warmed up already before even doing anything for this training session. I'm gonna be doing back and shoulders today. I just wanna share with you guys, a little bit of context around how I program for myself. So typically, Sunday mornings, I wake up, I go downstairs, and I'm always up before anybody else in the house. I grab my cup of coffee, I go to the couch, and I only have the stove light on, so it's not really bright in the room, and I'm just sitting there relaxing and reflecting on the past week. Of course, I look at all the positives that happened, not just with my training and the bodybuilding side of things, but life itself. And then I look at some of the things that maybe didn't go all that great, both in and out of the gym. And I think about how I'm going to maneuver the week ahead. On the bodybuilding side of things, I'm thinking about my training, how I'm gonna organize, like what days I'm gonna train on, because I have to work around the life schedule. My son obviously is back in school now. He is taking karate. He's also starting up soccer, which is pretty exciting. But I need to be available for all that because I want to make sure that I am a part of his life, his daily life. I think that's super important. And then also, my wife has some things that, she has to do, so I have to be available for that. And also, lately, I shared with you guys the last video I did that we had a death in the family. My wife lost her brother. So it's been very difficult. It's been challenging. It's still pretty sensitive. So I need to make sure that I'm fully present for her, her family, for my son. With that said, and maybe your dads out there can relate, that we need to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves too. And sometimes it's good to be a good selfish. And for me, that means it's important that I'm getting some training in. I may not get all of my training in that I would like, but I need to get in here at least 2 to 3 times per week. And even if it's condensed sessions, like I need to make sure I'm in here and I'm moving some weight, because that's very therapeutic for me. Makes me feel really good. And when I feel really good, that means I'm gonna be able to take care of my family that much better. So again, I take that time on Sunday mornings. It can be anywhere from 10 minutes to 30 minutes, somewhere in there. And I go on my phone and I go on my notepad and I write up the game plan for the week. And this workout is part of that game plan. All right, so we're using VersaGrips on this movement, so that way I have a nice secure grip on these dumbbells. It allows me to use the heaviest loads possible. Because without these grips, I would probably guess the load, instead of being 90 pounds here, it's probably going to be more like 70. And obviously, 70 and 90 pounds makes a pretty big difference, on that back musculature, especially when it comes to that mechanical tension. So the straps, I don't view it as cheating in a sense. I view it as like it's a tool. It's going to allow me to lift heavier and allow myself to actually have good form as well, because I'm not going to be focusing on losing my grip. So from the first rep to the last, I'll be nice and secured. But I get myself cinched in here. You're going to notice I'm grabbing the bench here for stability. I'm going to rock myself to this side, and then I'm kind of leaning on this arm to hold myself in place right now. Then I'm going to cinch this in, and then I'm just going to wiggle myself back to center. I'm going to start off full range of motion. Then again, nice and controlled on the concentrics, the eccentrics, nice and controlled. Just all the way through. First rep to the last, I'm gonna try to make them look the same. The only thing that's gonna change is the rep speed. Obviously, as I get deeper into the set, things slow down a little bit. And again, I'm gonna go to failure to ensure I get a good stimulus here. There we go. 2. Get some partials. And again, my brain's not thinking pain or burn, even though I feel it. It's just staying in control and moving the weight. staying skillful. Poised is a good word I like to use. It's like right now, because there's no momentum, the muscle's doing all the work. And that's it. That was a good set. Probably gonna rest, probably after this one, because it's a harder movement for me. Probably a good 4 minutes, maybe 5. That way when I get into the next set, I'm ready to go. Like, I'm not winded and fatigued still to where it's going to negatively impact my ability to move the load A to B with that skill and to failure. And also not to lose too many reps, so volume in a sense. But I'm gonna stop here, catch my breath, and then we'll get that second and final set. All right, you guys, you're not gonna believe this. That second set I did on the dumbbell rows, I recorded it, but I did it in slow motion, so I sounded like a demon through it. So obviously I had to delete that. For this set, I was talking about how indirect work has a ton of value. Like, I haven't done direct trap and rear delt work in like 15 years. And prior to that, I used to do like shrugs all the time. Same thing with rear delt flies. I did that for like 20 years of my lifting career. And of course I had decent development, and I can say, like, you know, doing the direct work had its impact, but I explored a bit. You know, when I got into, let's see, it was about 2010, 2011, I decided to explore and downsize the number of exercises I was doing. Because, you know, prior I would do anywhere between 20 to 25 different exercises in my programming at one time. So I literally like shaved that in half, or even less than that. And that meant removing like rear flies, you know, shrugs, and just relying on my back exercises to take care of the traps and to take care of the rear delts. And it worked pretty well. Like, I didn't see any regression at all. If anything, my back just continued to improve. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that the exercises that I was doing, you know, indirectly that musculature is working, but it's also assisting in moving that weight from A to B. And if you're leveling up your loads, you're leveling up your reps. It's like Kobe lobbing it up for Shaq. You know, Kobe's gonna get the assist. So if anything, you know, I've continued to improve, but I've saved a lot of time and energy by downsizing the number of exercises. And I know, you know, maybe some of you might have some fear with that, because I did have a little bit of fear, like, oh, if I remove these exercises, I might not get the development, I might regress a little bit. But over time, you know, I stuck with it, and I'm like, okay, nothing negative happened. If anything, I just kept improving. That gave me confidence that I didn't need to put those exercises back. So I just been rolling with it. Let's get in here. We're gonna do the first set of pull downs. The goal is to get 8 to 10 reps here, you know, try to go to failure, maybe get a partial or two at the end. And I'm actually increasing the load though, because last time I did 160, I put a 2.5 pound plate on this stack. So we're just gonna level it up just a little bit more. And it's gonna be even more challenging because this is my second exercise of the day, whereas it was my first exercise, the last session that I showed you guys. So it might be a little more challenging. Eventually I'm gonna tell myself, just get after it. Even though I'm prepping, you know, I have to have that intention on trying to level myself up. So we'll see what happens here. So again, first thing is to get stability. That's always my number one rule before I start an exercise, is just get myself very stable and very secure. I'm locked in, mentally ready to go. Keep going. Still moving. That was like 10 and a half. That was a good set. My goodness. So the load was up, second exercise. I think a lot of that was mental. It's having that focus and that desire and the will to get after it, but also knowing you guys are watching me. So that gives me a little more incentive. So I guess ego kicked in a little bit, but even with the ego, of course, I was in total control. And I think that's super important, is that you have, again, that word poise. All right, second and final set on this wide grip pull down. And that first set was good. Man, I'm happy about that one. And you wouldn't think after 39 years you would get excited about hitting some good numbers, but I may not grow any more muscle at this stage, especially now that I'm prepping. But even when I stop prepping, I still train as if I'm trying to. And at the very least, because I'm putting the effort in, I'm gonna maintain what I have. And I think that's worth fighting for. But all right, but let's see if we can, I think I went 10 and a half on the first one. If I could get 9 would be a good number here. And I know that's a question maybe some of you guys have, is you're trying to match every set, you're trying to get the same reps. And if it goes down, you know, is it okay? It's totally okay, especially if you're hitting the appropriate proximity to failure. So I don't trip on the reps. I mean, right now I have in my mind, I'm gonna shoot for 9, because I think that's gonna ensure that I am hitting that right proximity to failure. But if I can do more than 9, I'm gonna go for it. But if I only get 7 or 8, and again, if it's failure, it's still gonna be a stimulus regardless. So again, I don't lose sleep over those types of things. I'm not gonna talk, just gonna get after it. Oh, I called it. 9 and a quarter. I'll take it. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this last set of close grip pull down. You know, after a few minutes of rest, I feel fine. I can get after it. But with this set, what I want you guys to pay attention to is my facial expressions or lack thereof. So what I've been practicing probably over the last 5, 6, 7 years is the poise that I talk about, like the control. And I know some people might say you might be limiting yourself because you are really controlled, like you're not maybe lifting as heavy as you possibly could be if you had a little more momentum or leveraging. But the way I kind of see that is how I lift now is a style, and how I used to lift in the past was a little more expressive. You know, I would be more external, I would, grunt, and I would use a little bit of hitching sometimes. I, created my physique with that style up to that point, and I'm continuing to create my physique thereafter. And I just look at, it's 2 different styles, and each of those styles, the goal should still be the same. You're putting in as much effort as you can, you're getting close to or to failure on your sets, and you're standardizing your form regardless. In a way, you're fully controlled either way, because you can have hitching and some momentum and still be in full control. But at this stage of my career, with where I'm at, this is the style that I've really gravitated towards. But I just want you to pay attention to the face and just see how locked in I am. Because basically what I'm thinking about is, again, not letting pain, the burn, get to me too much. Because usually when that happens, the anxiety starts to creep up, and then you want to rush. You want to try to get the set over with. you start rushing your reps and things like that. And trust me, this style, if you try it, how difficult and challenging it is, because you aren't getting that leverage or the momentum. So even if the loads are just a little bit lighter than maybe you could with more momentum, it's still hard. It's still very, very challenging. Oh, that's it. Ooh, that is hard, very hard. But hard to say that it's not effective though. If you're exploring this, don't worry so much about the loading. It's more about learning skill, like moving A to B pretty flawless. And then when you get deeper into the sets, getting closer to failure, it's maintaining that poise and that control and not letting your brain think about the pain and letting the anxiety creep up. Like, you have to be in control of your emotions and just tell yourself to stay locked in. Focus on A to B, not on the burn. And you'll notice too, like the last couple of reps at the top, I'm kind of like pausing a bit. So that's where I'm collecting myself. Because up here, there's less stress. So you can kind of like ease up a little bit. Some of that lactic acid dissipates. And then you're like, okay, it's let up a bit. Now I can pull again. So that's another tool that I use to extend sets out. I might get another rep or two, and you'll be surprised like how much further you can get out of your sets. And that's why I'm really big on not just defaulting to a bunch of set volume. Really hone in on the quality, the skill, your ability to get to failure, and you'll be surprised like how much you can get out of your training with less overall set volume. All right, so you guys know I like to keep shit real. So this video is a shit show as far as the recording. So first, I recorded that one set in slow motion, made myself sound like a demon. Now I just knocked over the camera, which broke the part of the microphone that attaches to the camera. So now the rest of the video is not gonna have as good a sound quality, and I'm gonna have to buy a new mic, that's for sure. But let's get on with it. Probably not gonna talk through the rest of the workout, but I hope you guys enjoy the clips. If you have any questions or any comments or whatever, feel free to drop those down below. I'll do my best to engage with you guys, and hope you guys have a great weekend. So instead of doing those laterals, I decided just to do one more set of the overhead press because I'm feeling it in the anterior and the medial delt. So I'm grooving it right now. So I just rather stick with that. Call it a day. But you guys have a great weekend.